over to Michael.
Thanks, George. So I asked George to share some of that because in many ways that's the biggest why. The financial improvement, I think, of a business. And at the core is process. So how do you do it? Well, you learned earlier about cutting the grass. I'm sitting in a Ibicus conference room here with this massive wall, and behind me is current HVAC design and delivery as a map for production builders. And it looks like some of the things I'm going to show you in a moment. So you can map anything. But the examples we're going to give are through the eyes of production builders, 3 different builders. So first, how do you do it? I'd say get management bought in. They're not above the fray. They're usually the biggest opportunity or culprits to either be in the room or not. So get them involved. Pick the right team. This is John Friesenan and his partner Jim in the room, head of production, head of marketing, head of purchasing. Again, pull all the key players in the room. Pick a comfortable place with a good long wall like you see there, windows, fresh air. Very often you can be in a room locked away as a team for a day or 2. So again, make sure you're in the right environment. Gather the right tools. Anyone who knows me knows I love Post-its, 3M Post-its, big pens, flip charts. Set the ground rules, turn the phones off, focus while you're there, set the brakes up, and use a parking lot. There's always good ideas coming out of these sessions. They may be outside what focus you have. Park it. Good idea, but park it. So that's the first. I'm going to use this simple chart here to sort of tell you a story of process mapping and then show the examples. So I like to call them the big buckets or the big things. What is it you are breaking down? Break it down in a few pieces, and I'll walk through this. For any process, if you were making sausages, you have inputs. In that case, it might be pieces of pigs or a machine to make it or a person to grind it, money, what have you. And then outputs, got sausages. And along the way, you've got things you've got to do. So let's go into that. So first, the outputs. What are you trying to do? Maybe improve product design or saving some money. In this case, these are the kind of things typically we'll hear a builder say. I want more closings. How many? I want a higher quality home. Against what metric? Happier customers will improve my satisfaction 5 points. Fewer defects, etc. So you always ask, what's at the end of the process? When we've finished, if we're successful, what have we got? Mm-hmm. Next, what do we need before the sausage machine starts? What's the input? In this case, we've got to have the right people. We've got to have time to be able to do it. It's going to cost us X. Physical sticks and bricks, what we build, etc. So again, for any process, what's in, what's out? Define that as a team. Next, what are you trying to map? What big thing is it you're going to break down? Is it the company? Is it, in your case, Betsy, your program development arm? Mm-hmm. If it's, we'll hear from Lydia, the sales and marketing, that's right. What is it you're breaking down? Is it a product? Is it a service? Decide it as a team. Next thing then, when you know that, break it down in what I call 3, 4, 5 sub-buckets or subsets here. What are the things that make up that big thing? Is it a department then, if it's the company? You're mapping the 4 to 5, 6, 7 key departments. Or if it's a product, what are the sub-elements of it or process? Next. Then when you've defined those bigger buckets, start now, this is where the real work comes in. What are the things we do? What are the work steps? What's the activity? Who, and then you can really analyze and delayer this. Who owns that thing, that step? How long does it take us? How much does it cost? What value does that thing do to our customer or our business? What are the issues? Let's brainstorm the needs to improve. Often, this is where the magic comes, the integration or the getting away from the silos. What overlap do we have with other teams in the company? Looking at it through the customer's eyes or new solutions. So I'll give you some examples of this. So that's a key one. Then when you've done this exercise, how the hell do you rank the ideas? So I mentioned it earlier. List the ideas, then ask structured questions. What's the value of that idea to the different stakeholders? How hard would it be to implement that idea? And then you can start tabulating them, and I'll show you this. So you're not just pulling ideas from wherever. You've formally seen them. And then define your action plan. Let's look at those.
And I think this to me has always been valuable because we've looked at this on the Alliance side too. Sometimes you fall in love with an idea,
Yep.
or you think there's something that you really need to do and somebody's really passionate about it. But if you make it really rigorous and functional the way that they have to rate it, they can't argue with the numbers that come about. So I think I found it very helpful to get alignment on that front.
It's a good reference point for, whether, like we said earlier, is that the best idea or this one to put the money in? So let me walk through a few examples. You can see, as Betsy likes to tell me, point out that that's an old photograph because I'm not as dark-haired as that. But you see the room, good room. This is all mapped out, and let me delay some of these. First example, many of these, but this was an example we did a few years ago from Thrive, and we'll bookend this with Thrive home from this in what brand change. But these fancy flip charts, I call them, the templates, they'll be available through Betsy and the website. But there's simple ways to delay. So the first thing, what are you trying to do? So Bill and his team said they wanted home quality improved, customer satisfaction, lead the marketplace in Denver in high performance homes, etc. So just like I showed you earlier, these are big things, and then they broke them down on these flip charts. What will we need to be successful? The execs have got to buy in, the right team and the desire and attitude, etc. So you can see here, again, the kind of things, and then you'd fill them in for your project. What are the activities? So for Bill, if you click, he wanted to map the whole business from community development, purchasing, all the way to customer service. And by getting the team then to break down the next subset, you'll see the kind of things here in construction, permits, vendors, building, that's physically the building of the home. And you can break that down in a lot more detail. But because they were mapping the company level, we kept it up at a high enough level. So it wasn't minute of each of the departments. They wanted to analyze their whole process and improve the quality. So the brainstorming would be, what are the essentials for each of these? What issues have we got? And then what improvement opportunities are there? So I'm scanning that quickly just again to show how the generic one can be applied to a builder. This is another example. John Lang Homes, they wanted inter-department communication, deliver high quality home, etc., etc. This is their head of their Denver group. And part of this was they wanted to sell the business. They sold it for $1 billion to a group from the UAE, not because of this process, but again, part of getting the business aligned to be better. Now you can see Glenn, another colleague with dark hair there, but breaking down their their main steps of their process and duration, issues, the little frowny you see there. So getting a common pattern here, breaking it down with those Post-it notes. Here, what they did the same process as Newtown, the 7 big phases along the top: break the company, the work steps, and then I'll show you a little deeper looking at the marketing group. I don't expect you to read it, but this is a way for the marketing and sales process to be broken down. And they wanted to map the customer relationship and know specifically what they can do to improve issues they have today. So this would be an example of a 12, 14-page report out that becomes part of an action plan. Now, how did they pick the ideas to work on? So like I showed you earlier, you've got your ideas listed down here, and all of these templates are in the we provided through the Alliance website. Yep. Fill in the blanks yourself then. So what ideas? Who are the stakeholders? So marketing group, corporate divisions, the customer, the brand, etc. How easy, and then people rank them 1 low, 5 high. How easy or hard would it be to implement? Some great ideas, 20, 25, but medium base. So then you transfer that over into a quadrant, opportunity matrix, we call it. So plotting the low to high value, low to high implementation. And that quadrant there, we call it the low-hanging fruit. If you got high value ideas that are easy to do them tomorrow. The ones on the top right are usually harder, they're more strategic. So opportunity matrix, now bring it to Alicia and we can bring it home and talk through how did that process I've just gone through work for them. So